Good afternoon, students of all ages. Here is our first set of notes on laboratory equipment. How fun is that? Let's see what's coming up first here. Oh, the good old meter stick. There it is. It's 100 centimeters long. Know it, love it. This would be a ruler, although most rulers are really like 30 centimeters, so I'm not really sure what happened here, but anyway, we'll roll with it that it is a ruler. Here is a horseshoe magnet. We will not be using the horseshoe magnet probably until next semester, or the bar magnet, but there they are. And usually along with those, when we study magnetism, we also look at compasses, and we will learn that the Earth itself is a giant magnet. This instrument right here is a thermometer. The ones we have are digital, so they look a little bit different. We will be using those for different labs throughout the school year. These are known as forceps. They look like tweezers, and that's what they are, but the fancy science word is forceps. This is a medicine or eyedropper. Probably looks pretty familiar to you. You've probably seen those before. This is for just dropping very small amounts of liquid. Safety goggles, very important to protect our eyes during our labs in science class. This is called an air piston. We also know it as a syringe, and we can either get some pressurized air in there, or we can also get liquids out of other containers and get exact amounts out using the air piston or syringe. This is a graduated cylinder, and each level is a graduation. Just as you graduate, you go to different levels of schooling or through different levels of schooling. We will use this instrument quite a bit in science class this year. The bottom apparatus here is a hot plate, and we use that to heat things. This container is a beaker. It's very nice to use to hold liquids and also to measure approximate amounts of liquid and also to mix things in. And we mix things in the beaker with a stirring rod. And that's just a clear glass rod we use to stir things. This we will use quite often, and I've lost my arrow. Oh, there we go. This is a triple beam balance. 3 beams, hence the name triple beam balance, and we adjust the beams until they match the mass of whatever we have on the plate here, and then we find out the mass of whatever is on the plate. Test tubes, that would be those 2 lovely items right there, and we use those to store liquids and to do different experiments for small amounts of liquid. Test tube rack that holds the test tubes so they don't roll all over the place. Test tube holder, if we need to grab a test tube, maybe a chemical was spilled on it and we don't want to touch it. Those are test tube holders. This you will see is a long silverish scoop-like instrument called a scoopula, and it's used to scoop chemicals out of containers to help us measure them. This is a spring scale, and when we study physics next semester, there we go, we will use the spring scale to measure force in newtons. This is a Bunsen burner, and it is used to heat things, and we hook it up to our gas jet and a little flame comes out and we can heat things on it. And this big thing, or actually, okay, let's start here. The mesh looking thing is called wire gauze, and that's what a beaker or a flask could sit on while we heat it with the Bunsen burner. And then that is all supported by this ring stand. Up here we have a flask, and it's kind of nice. It's got a nice wide bottom on it so it doesn't tip over, and we can hold it up here and swirl liquids without them spilling out. We can also put stoppers in these that have holes in them and connect them to other pieces of equipment, which is kind of cool. This is to signify filter paper. It's kind of like a coffee filter, but it's a clean piece of paper that we would use to help us, I keep losing my mouse, sorry about that, to help us hold chemicals while, dry chemicals, while we would find the mass of them, for example, with the triple beam balance. This is called a pipette. Some people call it a pipette, and it has small little graduations, even to 1/2 of a milliliter on here, and that helps us get really small amounts of liquid measured out if we need to. These are test tube brushes. We use those to clean glassware. We use them to clean test tubes, beakers, whatever it is we need to wash out. We scrub them with a test tube brush. And here we have our sparker, and that's what we use to light the Bunsen burner. We let the gas flow out, and then we hit it with a spark, and then we get a flame. And that's kind of a little fun piece of equipment that 8th graders really like. So there you have it. These are just common things that we'll use in the lab. And on the back of your paper you have what I'll call a little cheat sheet. It's got all of the different pieces of equipment and kind of just a basic use of each of those pieces of equipment. And that's it.